Some people destroy you loudly, some destroy you silently, but the most dangerous are the ones who teach you how to rebuild stronger without letting you know the lesson was theirs. My name is Evelyn Cross, and this is how I walked into a billionaire mansion as a maid, and walked out as the heir who owned everything inside it. Evelyn Cross, 22, thin, quiet, soft-spoken, grew up inside St. Helena Orphanage, a place where kids learn to survive, not dream. She never knew her parents, never celebrated birthdays, never had a last name until she turned 18. Cross was randomly assigned, but she had something others didn't: a remarkable talent for noticing patterns, reading behaviors, and analyzing silence. Not academically, but instinctively. She saw how people walked, lied, avoided eye contact, smiled for manipulation, and cried for advantage. She never spoke much, not because she lacked words, but because the world around her never earned them. One rainy November morning, the orphanage director called her. "Director, pack your things. You got a placement job, Evelyn." "I didn't apply for anything." "Director, this isn't a request. Someone important recommended you." A black luxury car waited outside, with no sender name, no detail, and no choice. The driver refused questions, just said one line: "The Whitford estate is expecting you." The Whitfords, America's old money dynasty owners of Whitford Global Holdings, a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. Evelyn had seen them only in newspapers, never imagined fate would drag her directly into their fortress. The mansion was massive, cold, carved with luxury, yet empty of warmth. She met Victoria Whitford, the matriarch, elegant, sharp, diamond-hearted. Victoria disgusted look. "You'll start as a live-in maid. Know your place. No personal conversations, no opinions, no mistakes." The Whitford rules were hung on the staff board. No eye contact longer than 3 seconds, no entering personal offices, no questions. No meals at the same time, no leaving without written permission, no phones for house staff. Evelyn signed the contract without reading the fine print. She wasn't even allowed to. She slept in a tiny basement room with a metal bed, no window, and a single flickering bulb. But something was strange. Why hire a maid this formally? Why bring her in a luxury car? Why HER specifically? The mansion held 5 main residents: Victoria Whitford, the cold queen; Charles Whitford, the CEO, always traveling; Natalie Whitford, their glamorous influencer daughter; Damien Whitford, the goldenair.com, unreadable; Arthur Beaumont, the family legal advisor, mysterious. Everyone ignored Evelyn like furniture, except Damien. He didn't smile, he didn't talk, but he observed her observing, which no one else ever noticed. Evelyn noticed patterns. Victoria's right eyebrow twitched when lying Arthur always stood between family members like a shield. Natalie laughed just half a second late. Fake confidence. Damien hid guilt behind politeness. The mansion had more offices than bedrooms. This wasn't a home, it was a war headquarters. And the Whitfords weren't a family. They were rivals living under one name. Confidential Evelyn Cross case study. Inside were photos of her childhood, psychological observation charts, handwriting samples, IQ analysis, behavior reports, a signature. Charles Whitford. She froze. Why was she being studied? Before she could breathe, Damien behind her quietly. "You weren't supposed to find that?" "Not yet." But instead of anger, there was sadness in his voice. That night Damien brought her tea, something unheard of. "Damien, you think you were hired as a maid?" "Evelyn, that is what I was told, Damien." "No. You were brought here because this family owes you more than you can imagine." Evelyn demanded clarity. He refused. "Damien, when truth can't heal, timing must." He walked away and whispered one sentence into Victoria's ear: "Offer silence, not counter-arguments. The person who speaks last loses." Victoria tested it. Deal closed. Millions secured. For the first time, Victoria looked at Evelyn. Not through her. Charles Whitford finally returned home and ordered a private meeting. Everyone assumed it was about his retirement decision. The lawyer opened a sealed document. The title read, "Revised Inheritance Will effective immediately." 3 gasps, 1 silent smirk, 1 heartbeat too loud Evelyn's. Then the lawyer read slowly, to Evelyn Cross, the legal and biological daughter of Charles Whitford, and the sole majority heir to Whitford Global Holdings. Silence. Deathly, unbreathing, unrecoverable. Victoria stood up in rage. Natalie screamed. Arthur closed his eyes like he knew this day would come. Damien simply whispered. Finally, years ago, Charles had a relationship before marriage with a woman he truly loved. They planned to build a family, but Victoria's powerful family forced him into a marriage for business alliance. Evelyn was born secretly. Her mother died due to illness. Charles wanted her back, but Victoria threatened to destroy her, so he did the only thing he could, placed Evelyn in the safest controlled environment. The orphanage funded by the Whitfords. She wasn't abandoned. She was protected and prepared. Everything, every job, every test, every evaluation was to ensure she wouldn't be manipulated when she claimed her power. Evelyn didn't scream, didn't punish, didn't gloat. She simply stood and said, "I will not take revenge. I will take responsibility." To Victoria, she said, "You taught me how cold the world can be, and that lesson is the reason I can rule it." To Natalie, "I will give you a job, not a throne." To Damien, "You knew." Damien, "I protected what was already yours." To Charles, she didn't speak. She hugged him, the first hug of her life. Evelyn moved from the basement to the CEO office with glass walls. Not to dominate, but to rebuild ethics into an empire built on fear. Her first official announcement, "Power isn't inherited. It's proven," and she proved it without shouting, without destroying, without becoming what hurt her. Because the strongest revenge is not making people regret their actions. It's making them witness your evolution.